As we enter 2022, is the future, do you think, of the planet more secure after those meetings?
Sure, I think so. In some way, my answer it is clearly a yes. And you know why? Because despite that COP26 didn't get an enough outcome, I think that they gave us a right direction and also the mechanism to address what we do need to address in 2022 to close the ambition gap and the financial gap. You know that in my point of view, what it is happening with the climate debate, it is that it is becoming an economic one. And that is good because it is emerging in the world a new economy with strong climate conditions. And that is good for the process because now countries are moving action, not just because of an agreement, the Paris Agreement that for sure we have to fulfill, but also because of the economy.
You're absolutely right. Climate and economics are linked, but not always, Manuel, in a good way, because are richer countries doing enough to help poorer countries become more climate friendly?
I think that still geopolitics are affecting this debate. And probably energy security, for example, countries are still looking to exploit the land, oil field, because the lack of cooperation, it is difficult to address the energy transition. That is true. And on the other hand, one of the gaps that we have to close, it is the financial gap. As you know, in the Paris Agreement, we decided that by 2020, at least $100 billion would be channeled for the climate action. Unfortunately, that amount of money has not been fulfilled yet. We hope that the $100 billion could be fulfilled by 2022, but more than that, that we can start to define what it would be a real and good number for 2025, because $100 billion for how much it costs the climate transition, it is just peanuts. So we do need to continue raising the financial money, the financial resources as a way to support the most vulnerable countries in the developing world. That is true. That is a pending task.
Kunming, Manuel, is about biodiversity. What would you like to see from Kunming? What's the most important issues there?
Nobody's doubting that 1.5 is the threshold. Net zero is the objective for half of century, and this is the decisive decade. We have to build the same for nature and biodiversity. So in our point of view, the concept of nature positive, it is something that it must be part of the negotiation. And that nature positive concept must be that clear vision for the world to mobilize all of our actions to achieve it. And for sure, with clear targets in this decisive decade, 2020, 2030, must be a time in which we can start to address all of our actions to reverse nature laws as a way to get a nature positive world. So that is what I am more expecting for Kunming.
After COP26, are you more or less optimistic about the future of the planet? And what do you want from COP27 in Egypt in 2022?
Listen, I am more optimistic, but I am expecting for COP27 3 or 4 things. The first one, that I hope that we can close the ambition gap. So that means more ambitious NDCs as a way to move the world into no more than 1.5 by the end of the century. The second element, a way to close the financial gap. So the fulfillment of the $100 billion and the new target for 2025. A third element, it is more resources for adaptation and loss and damage. That is a key element. And the fourth one, my fourth expectation, it is something that it was raised by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We do need to give more credibility to the process, mostly to corporations that are defining climate claims without enough support of science. So we do need to work in building more credibility to be clear that all those claims are well supported on science and that we will move all the actors into the same objective.
Manuel Pulgar-Vidal, it's a pleasure talking to you again. Many thanks for joining us on The Agenda.
Thank you very much, Stephen.